Imagine you're an emergency center operator when at 14 hours and 43 minutes, your phone rings. On the other side of the line, a female voice trembles with desperation. "My daughter isn't breathing. She's only 3 years old. Please, help us." You collect vital information, but there's something in that mother's voice that chills your blood. It's not just common panic. It's something deeper, more disturbing. You dispatch paramedics to apartment number 9. Minutes later, you receive feedback from the rescue team, and their voices are different. They found a scene that will be forever etched in their memories. A 3-year-old child on the living room floor, wrapped in a towel, in very serious condition. But the most disturbing thing wasn't just the girl's state. It was what the physical signs revealed about what had happened in that apartment. That call would be just the beginning of one of the most shocking sequences ever recorded in the American judicial system. Prepare yourself to discover how a desperate plea for help revealed one of the most disturbing trajectories ever documented. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take advantage now to not miss any important content about cases that marked an era. On a sunny afternoon in May 2011 in Tulare County, a family was enjoying apparently happy moments at Mooney Grove Park. Sophia, a 3-year-old girl, radiated joy in her favorite outfit, surrounded by people who loved her. No one imagined those would be her last moments of true happiness. 24 hours later, an emergency call would break the silence of an ordinary afternoon. A mother's desperate voice would echo through the central speakers. "Her little one couldn't breathe. She's only 3 years old." When paramedics arrived at apartment number 9, they found a scene that would remain etched in their memories forever. The little one was on the floor, wrapped in a towel, in very serious condition. There were signs of injuries in places that should never be injured in a child. Dr. Philip Hayden, with 25 years of experience treating complex cases, would later declare that he had never witnessed anything similar in his medical career. Sophia Maria Acosta was born in February 2008, daughter of Erica Smith and Obi Costa, a young couple full of dreams. Obi worked as a truck driver, spending long periods away from home, while Erica took care of the baby. The family faced challenges common to many young parents. When Sophia turned 1.5 years old, her little sister Alexa was born. The bond between the two was extraordinary. Sophia naturally assumed the role of protective sister, sharing toys and comforting the youngest before the mother even noticed the crying. The extended family described Sophia as a sunny child, not for special talents, but for her unique ability to illuminate any environment just with her presence. Her radiant personality manifested in her passion for coloring, dressing up as a princess, and playing with Alexa. However, the birth of the second daughter tested the limits of the young family. At the beginning of 2010, the parents separated. Erica assumed full custody of the girls, while Obi moved to Livingston, 40 miles away. Paternal visits, initially scheduled for weekends, became increasingly sporadic due to the demands of his work. Grandfather Sam Coronado offered financial support to Erica during this difficult period. The young mother dedicated herself entirely to work and caring for her daughters, striving to provide them with the best possible. The girls spent hours playing on the lawn near the apartment, and on weekends visited parks where Sophia could explore her imagination. Until September 2010, despite imperfections, Sophia's life maintained relative stability. Daily, she visited her great-aunt Ruth, who harbored deep affection for the girl. Ruth would remember later, "I remember her sleeping in my bed, holding my hand, saying, 'Nana, I love you.' She never wanted to leave until he appeared." He was Christopher Cheery, a 19-year-old young man who moved to apartment number 9 in September of that year. Erica, then 23 and facing her own difficulties, claimed to want to help Christopher overcome substance problems. Retrospectively, it seems risky to imagine a young mother of 2 small children trying to help someone with a history of legal problems. With Christopher's arrival, Sophia's life transformed drastically. The light and joy that had always characterized her began to diminish. Her daily visits to her great-aunt Ruth became rare. The carefree princess she had always been gradually disappeared. Christopher demanded that the girls call him father, but they didn't understand why. After all, they already had a father.
Erica confided something disturbing to a neighbor. Christopher treated her very badly, being aggressive and pushing her against walls. The reason for these situations was absurdly cruel. The children refused to call him father. Carly Vega, Sophia's babysitter, began to notice concerning changes in the girl's behavior. The previously open and cheerful child had become fearful and anxious. Even more alarming, Sophia began to ask, "Please don't tell my dad," referring to Christopher. Carly observed Christopher being excessively strict with the children during play. When she tried to talk to Erica about her concerns, she was ignored. Another babysitter noticed suspicious marks under Sophia's eyes and constantly heard her complaining of pain. In March 2011, an incident occurred that should have served as a final warning. Sophia's little sister suffered a leg fracture. Christopher explained to Erica that they were at the playground when the child got hurt on the slide. However, hospital doctors indicated that the injury seemed to result from something more serious. A broken leg in a small child, inconsistent explanations, bruises on the older sister, clear signs were present, but no one formally questioned Erica's ability to keep her daughters safe. During this period, Sophia continued living this difficult situation in silence. Neighbors observed that after Christopher's arrival, Sophia, Alexa, and their mother rarely left the apartment. They seemed to have disappeared from the community life of the housing complex, a classic pattern of isolation in problematic situations. May 6, 2011 represented a rare moment of happiness for the girls. Erica and Christopher took them to Mooney Grove Park in Visalia, where photographs captured Sophia genuinely smiling for the last time. On the morning of May 7th, Sophia woke up not knowing it would be her last day. She had exactly 3 years, 2 months, and 2 days of life. She was awakened by arguments between Erica and Christopher. Although Erica couldn't remember the reason for the fight afterward, she knew Christopher was agitated, and when that happened, he became particularly dangerous. To calm him down, Erica decided to travel to Visalia to acquire illegal substances. She took 2 buses to buy narcotics worth $20 to $30, leaving her 3-year-old and 1.5-year-old daughters alone with a visibly agitated man. When Erica returned around noon, she and Christopher consumed the substances together. Later, Christopher offered Sophia a sandwich and took both girls to the upper floor to rest. Erica, exhausted from the trip and under the influence of substances, also fell asleep. Christopher, however, had other plans. His mind, altered by substances, led him to commit terrible acts against little Sophia. When the girl tried to scream and resist, he seriously injured her abdomen. For a 3-year-old child, it was enough to leave her unconscious. While her mother slept deeply in the adjacent room, Sophia was severely harmed. But the mistreatment didn't stop there. When Sophia, struggling, weakly called for her mother, Christopher realized she could reveal what had happened. This sealed her tragic fate. Christopher caused serious injuries to the girl's head and, to finish, struck her skull against the floor. He could have stopped there, but heard Erica moving in the room. Christopher then shouted, "Erica, there's something wrong with Sophia." Erica ran to the room and found her 3-year-old daughter fallen on the nursery floor. Sophia was unconscious, with signs of having vomited, with only one eye slightly open. The little princess, who had brought joy to everyone around her, was now in very serious condition on the cold floor, victim of unimaginable cruelty at the hands of a man her mother had irresponsibly brought home. The emergency call arrived at 14 hours and 43 minutes. Erica's voice trembled with panic. "My daughter isn't breathing. She's only 3 years old. Please help us."
While the desperate mother spoke with operators, Christopher took unconscious Sophia and carried her to the bathroom. He quickly washed the girl, not out of concern, but in a desperate attempt to eliminate evidence of his crime. When paramedics arrived at apartment number 9, they witnessed an unforgettable scene. Sophia was on the living room floor, wrapped in a towel, small and motionless. Christopher remained a few steps away, appearing nervous. Erica was crying outside the apartment. Sophia was immediately transported to Kauai Delta Hospital. Emergency doctors instantly knew this wasn't a common accident. Experienced nurses couldn't contain their tears. When they transferred the girl from the ambulance stretcher to the hospital bed, there were signs of serious injuries. The most shocking discovery came during the medical examination. The 3-year-old girl showed signs of wounds in various parts of her body, bruises on her abdomen and buttocks, as well as signs of severe cranial trauma. Her condition was so serious that she was urgently transferred to Valley Children's Pediatric Hospital, a unit specialized in the most serious cases. While doctors fought for Sophia's life, a detective began his investigation in the apartment. What he discovered deeply disturbed him. The children's bedroom bed showed concerning signs. Sophia's blanket had traces of vomit and other bodily fluids. In the living room, there was a suspicious pile of pillows and blankets, some with stains. But the most disturbing discovery was yet to come. When the complex custodian came to clean the apartment after the police left, he found a condom wrapper and an object he described as inappropriate in the child's room. Laboratory results revealed traces of controlled substances in Sophia's blood. A 3-year-old child had been exposed to narcotics in her own home. At the children's hospital, a team of doctors desperately tried to save Sophia. An MRI showed catastrophic brain damage. For 4 days, Sophia fought for her life connected to support machines. On May 11, 2011, at 19 hours and 20 minutes, while Obi held his little daughter's hand, the machines were turned off. Sophia Maria Acosta, who had only completed 3 years, 2 months, and 6 days, succumbed to injuries caused by someone her mother had irresponsibly brought home. The autopsy results were devastating. Cause of death: multiple cranial trauma. Sophia died due to skull fractures, brain hemorrhage, oxygen deprivation, and physical assault. All medical specialists agreed the 3-year-old girl had been subjected to severe mistreatment before dying. For a month after Sophia's death, Christopher Cherry lived freely, telling his version of the facts to anyone who wanted to hear it. He even went so far as to grant an interview to a local broadcaster, claiming that Sophia hit her head on a small metal shopping cart next to the bed. "I was exactly at the head of her bed, on the floor where her head was. She was still wrapped in the blanket, so it seemed like she had rolled or fallen somehow. I would honestly give my life for that little girl to be alive. I would be happy to trade places with Sophia in the blink of an eye." On June 3, 2011, Christopher Cherry was formally charged with murder with special circumstances and other serious crimes against children. When the case went to trial in 2016, 5 years after Sophia's death, frightening details emerged about how many people knew of the danger but didn't intervene. 2 babysitters, a neighbor, and most shocking of all, the girl's own mother knew Christopher's problematic behavior. When Erica Smith finally testified, her testimony shocked even experienced lawyers. She admitted that Christopher mistreated her regularly and threatened to harm her. "There were times when he pushed me against the wall. There were times when he threw objects at me. There were times of verbal abuse, belittling me, isolating me, making me feel worthless." But the most incredible part was her claim that she trusted him to take care of the children and saw no reason to think differently. Christopher's lawyers desperately tried to find alternative explanations. They claimed that Sophia had a rare blood disorder, that the injuries could have been caused by paramedics during resuscitation, that no fresh evidence was found in the apartment. However, more than 10 medical specialists testified that Sophia's death resulted from extreme cruelty. The prosecutor highlighted the obvious. Sophia was wet when found because Christopher had washed the evidence in the bathroom before the rescue arrived. On November 14, 2016, after intense deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict: guilty of all charges. On January 31, 2017, Judge Joseph Kalashian officially sentenced Christopher Cherry to death. Christopher was sent to death row at San Quentin Prison. However, in 2019, California's governor imposed a moratorium on capital punishment, leaving Sophia's family deeply outraged. Sophia is buried at Winton Cemetery. Family members and community members attended the funeral. The small closed coffin symbolized a childhood destroyed in an indifferent adult world. Alexa, 1.5 years old, was taken by protective services directly from the hospital where she had been brought along with her seriously ill sister. The custody battle lasted 8 months. Obi had to prove his ability to be a father. In December 2011, the court finally granted Alexa to her father. The girl was already 2 years old but didn't speak. Psychologists diagnosed severe trauma. Alexa was in that room when Christopher harmed her sister. She saw or heard what no child should witness. Years of therapy helped her speak again, but nightmares still haunt her. A children's bench was installed in Farmersville in memory of Sophia. Adult Alexa and the entire family were present at the ceremony. And Erica Smith, the mother who left her daughter with a dangerous person, was never held criminally responsible. She only lost custody of Alexa, but was never charged with negligence. The district attorney considered her a victim, not an accomplice. Many believe this represented grave injustice. But this isn't the only story we must tell today. There's another child whose fate was even more tragic, if possible. On September 27, 2012, Kali Kayan Armella Anderson is born. Big brown eyes sparkled with curiosity. Her extraordinary smile immediately won the heart of her mother, who she called my miracle and princess. In photographs, Kali always appears smiling, drinking from her favorite cup with a straw, hugging toys, or tenderly holding her little brother. She loved Hello Kitty. In one of her last happy photos, she wore a pink shirt with her favorite character, her eyes bright with joy. Tyler Anderson was only 17 when he discovered he would become a father. At that time, the teenager was already facing substance problems, was involved in illegal drug trafficking, and had problems with the law. His relationship with Liani was turbulent and brief. In that same year, 2012, Tyler met Everana Enoch, also 17, in high school. The young woman had recently returned from Ohio, where she lived with her mother after facing mental health problems. She received treatment and took medication. When Everana learned of Kali's existence, friends described her reaction as anger and deep anguish. This moment became the starting point of negative feelings that would grow until harming an innocent child. The most catastrophic decision came from family court. Judge Cinder Riggins Onjor, later removed for systematic prejudice, granted total custody of Kali to a teenage father with substance dependency and criminal background. Liani's maternal instinct screamed danger, but the system refused to listen to her appeals. Her daughter was only 14 months old when delivered to her father. Now, she could only see the baby during supervised visits. Kali's first years with Tyler and Everana took place in Woodland, California. In October 2014, Tyler and Everana had their first child together, a boy named Tyrell. From that moment, Everana's jealousy and resentment toward her stepdaughter reached a new level. She was convinced that Tyler's family loved Kali more than her biological son. In December 2014, Tyler took Kali for a routine medical exam. She was a little over 2 years old and weighed 12.7 kilograms, completely normal and healthy weight. The doctor scheduled an additional cardiac consultation, but Tyler canceled it. For the next 3.5 years, Kali didn't see a single doctor. In 2015, Tyler's aunt, Mean Dunas, began to notice strange things at family gatherings. Crescent-shaped bruises appeared on Kali's face, exactly like nail marks. Everana disguised them with heavy makeup, but when relatives kissed the girl, the foundation smeared, revealing the marks. In October 2015, changes in Kali became obvious. The 3-year-old girl had lost weight significantly at a family party. Despite the heat, she wore a long dress that hid her body. But the most frightening thing was how Kali had changed as a person. Previously cheerful and extroverted, she now didn't play with other children, barely spoke, and constantly remained close to adults, as if fearing to move away. When adults were distracted, the girl secretly took food from other plates, devouring it with the desperation of someone who was hungry. Mean Dunas could no longer remain silent. In October 2015, she contacted California's Child Protection Services with an official report of suspected mistreatment. After a superficial investigation, the case was filed as unfounded. The system failed Kali again. In July 2017, Tyler and Everana made a decision that would completely isolate Kali from anyone who could help her. They moved to Reno, Nevada, away from vigilant relatives. At that time, the couple had a second child together, Titan. Tyler worked 2 jobs and attended college, being away from home from early morning until late at night. Everana stayed alone with 3 children. While the apartment in the Brook Tree Apartments complex on Harvard Way was home for the boys, for Kali it became a maximum security prison. The complex manager would later testify in court. 3 children were listed in the lease contract, but in all this time, I never saw a girl who matched Kali Anderson's description. In the fall of 2017, Kali's grandmother, Donna Howard, came to Reno. When she asked where Kali was, they told her the girl was in a 24-hour daycare. The next day, Tyler finally brought Kali to lunch with her grandmother. Donna was shocked. She looked sick, thin. Her skin was grayish. There was no brightness in her eyes, no joy that I remembered. This was Kali's last meeting with any loving relative. Her mother never managed to visit Kali in Reno. Everana didn't allow meetings. At the beginning of 2018, Tyler and Everana made a special purchase at a pet store. They chose a large wire cage. Separately, they obtained real handcuffs, not children's toys, but metal handcuffs that cut thin wrists, leaving marks on the skin. Everana installed this cage in the guest bathroom and locked the door. Now, no visitor could accidentally enter. Every morning, Tyler left for work, giving goodbye kisses to the 2 sons. He didn't even look Kali in the eyes. For him, she was no longer a daughter, but a burden he needed to get rid of. As soon as the door closed behind Tyler, the girl's ordeal began. Everana forced Kali to undress completely and crawl inside the metal cage. She attached the handcuffs to her thin wrists, connecting them to the bars. The child couldn't lie down or stand completely upright, only remained sitting in an uncomfortable position for hours. Meanwhile, in adjacent rooms, her biological sons had breakfast, played with toys, and watched cartoons. They could hear their half-sister crying and begging, but their mother forbade them from approaching the bathroom. An empty dog bowl was in the cage, a cruel mockery of the hungry child. Sometimes Everana poured water or dog food there, sometimes she left it empty. Kali was lucky if she got a piece of stale bread or cereal leftovers. Often, she received no food for days. Kali drank from the toilet, which she could barely reach with her chained hands. When Tyler came home, he saw his emaciated daughter in the cage and said nothing. Everana mistreated Kali with any object she found: belts, wooden spoons, brooms. She hit her back, legs, and head. Bruises and cuts covered the child's body. But the cruelest torture was psychological. When Tyler called home, Everana forced Kali to speak on the phone. "Hi, Daddy. I'm playing and eating. I'm a good girl." After the call, she whispered in her ear, "Your father doesn't love you. Nobody loves you. The mother who gave birth to you abandoned you. If you died, nobody would cry." In April 2018, Kali became a living skeleton. The 5-year-old girl weighed only 16 pounds, as much as an 18-month-old child. Her brown hair fell out in clumps, her skin was grayish, her eyes had sunken. She had been severely beaten repeatedly. Bed sores developed on her hip from constantly sitting in the same position. Open wounds allowed infections to enter the bloodstream. Sepsis began. But Everana didn't call a doctor. She simply moved the cage so she wouldn't have to see her stepdaughter's infected wounds. On April 26, 2018, Kali was particularly ill. She could barely breathe and didn't lift her head. Her pulse was weak and irregular. At 10 at night, Everana researched cardiopulmonary resuscitation on the internet. She understood the child was dying, but didn't want to call an ambulance, fearing they would discover evidence of mistreatment. Instead, she sent a message to Tyler. "Your daughter is very ill. Come home quickly." When Tyler returned, he found Kali unconscious in the cage. Her breathing was shallow, lips bluish. "We need to call an ambulance," he said. "No, I can't go to prison. You have to save your daughter alone," Everana shouted. The couple tried resuscitation. They put her under cold shower trying to revive her, but it was too late. The 5-year-old girl's body couldn't withstand months of mistreatment and starvation. At the end of the night of April 26, 2018, Kali Anderson's heart stopped forever. Tyler and Everana didn't mourn the dead child. They panicked about how to get rid of the body to avoid prison. They put Kali's body in a backpack, placed the bag in a blue plastic barrel, and sealed it. They placed the barrel in the bedroom closet, just a few meters from the bed where their 2 sons slept. On May 10, 2018, Tyler rented a truck. On May 11th, he called his acquaintance Joe Garcia, who managed storage facilities, asking permission to temporarily store some boxes. The plastic barrel containing Kali's body was sealed in a cardboard box. Tyler drove to Sacramento, while Everana followed in her car with the 2 children. In storage unit number 105, Tyler quickly unloaded the boxes, including the one containing his daughter's mortal remains. Joe Garcia couldn't shake a bad feeling. Fearing the boxes contained controlled substances, he decided to check the contents. On May 15th, almost 3 weeks after Kali's death, Joe Garcia opened the box with a knife and then opened the blue plastic barrel. Inside was a backpack. When he opened the zipper, he saw something that would change his life forever: the skeletal arm of a small child. With trembling hands, Joe called the emergency number. Sacramento police were shocked. They expected to see a child's body, but it was a 5-year-old girl who weighed as much as a 6-month-old baby.
Kali was found wearing an 18-month baby's pajamas, knit cap, and mismatched Hello Kitty socks, the same Hello Kitty she had loved in happier days. Next to the body was a children's Bible, a cruel final irony in this tragedy. On May 16th, Tyler was arrested on his way to the storage unit. Police found lighter fluid and matches in his car trunk. He planned to burn all evidence. That same day, Detective Ben Rhodes arrived at the apartment on Harvard Way to arrest Everana. The apartment showed complete disorder. 2 children crawled amid chaos with dirty diapers, hungry and scared. In the guest bathroom, Detective Rhodes discovered the instrument of mistreatment, a large wire animal cage with bent bars. Handcuffs were attached to the bars. Nearby was a child's backpack with clothes and a hat embroidered with Kali's name. The detectives searched the entire apartment looking for signs of a dog. Hair, toys, waste. Nothing. But there were human hairs in the cage and biological evidence on the handcuffs. DNA analysis would later confirm the worst. The hair and skin particles belonged to Coley. Detectives took the two boys under protective custody and brought Everana to the station for interrogation. The 4-hour interview with Detective Jeffrey Boyd became a confession of one of the most heinous crimes against children in American history. Initially, Everana denied everything, then gradually admitted more facts. "I tried to help," she said. "How did you try to help her?" asked the detective. "Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. We were both trying. It lasted a long time. I was upset with Tyler because he said he knew how to do resuscitation." "Did you call anyone? Emergency, family, or friends?" questioned the investigator. "Why not?" was her evasive response. When they announced her arrest, she began to cry. "I just want to die," she whispered. At first, Tyler exercised his right to a lawyer and refused to cooperate. Only on July 5, 2019, something changed, and Tyler finally spoke. His confession was disturbing. "I stand in front of her to hold her back, and she tries to get past me. She tells me I always save her, that I can't always favor her. I go to the bathroom, and she's in there. I saw the cage. The first thing I do is get her out of the cage. I ask what she's doing. She's not crying. She's not hurt. What is she doing in this cage?" Everana said she pushed and ran, then said she had no one to show. "I touched her hand on her arm and started doing resuscitation. I kept trying, told her it wasn't working, that we would call an ambulance. She said, 'No, I'm not calling an ambulance. I can't go to prison. If you call an ambulance, I'll harm you. You have to save your daughter.' I grabbed my cell phone, said, 'I'm calling an ambulance. I can't help her.' She ripped the phone from my hand, threw it in the pantry, hit it on the floor. I put my ear to her heart. I thought I heard it stop. She was dead. I grabbed a backpack. She wanted to burn it under a bridge. She said to put the bag in the Sacramento River. I said no, because even if she's hit by a train, they can still identify her. I said, 'I'll burn her body at home.' She replied, 'You're not putting that in my house. You'll keep it with you, so if you try anything, I can call police and say you have a body in your trunk.' When asked about his trip to the storage unit on the day of arrest, Tyler admitted, 'I was counting on being caught. I had a strong feeling they would appear that night or the next day. From the suspicions I was raising, she's wondering what's happening. I knew they would search.' The trial lasted more than 3 years. In January 2020, Tyler Anderson pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for a life sentence with possibility of parole after 10 years. Everana initially tried a similar agreement, but the judge refused to accept it, considering the proposed sentence inadequate for the gravity of the crime. The coroner presented devastating evidence to the jury. All of Coley's internal organs were underdeveloped due to chronic malnutrition. Her thymus, a key organ of the immune system, had shrunk to the size of a pea. The child had multiple injuries to her head, arms, and legs due to constant beatings. Bed sores formed on her hip from prolonged immobilization. Her ribs protruded from her skin. In August 2021, a jury found Everana Enoch guilty of first-degree murder by severe mistreatment, child endangerment resulting in death, and destruction of evidence. She was sentenced to life in prison with possibility of parole after 20 years. The surprisingly lenient sentences left Coley's family devastated and the community outraged that her tormentors could one day walk free. Coley Anderson died on April 26, 2018. She was 5 years and 6 months old. Coley never went to first grade. She never lost the tooth. She never blew out candles on her 6th birthday. She never learned to read. All of this was stolen from her by those who should have protected her. She loved Hello Kitty and Minnie Mouse. She drank from cups with straws. She wore bright bows every day. She played with pink toy cars and gently hugged smaller children. She deserved to grow up, play,
laugh. She deserved love, not mistreatment, protection, not betrayal. She deserved life. Both stories we shared today reveal systematic failures that cost precious lives. Sophia Maria Acosta and Coley Cayenne Anderson were children whose smiles lit up environments, whose love was pure and unconditional. They trusted the adults around them, and that trust was brutally betrayed. These aren't just criminal statistics, they're lessons about warning signs that went unnoticed, about systems that failed when they most needed to function, about how society fails to protect its most vulnerable members. The cases of Sophia and Coley remind us that constant vigilance is necessary, that neighbors, teachers, family members, health professionals, all of us have the responsibility to protect the children around us. When we see signs that something isn't right, when a child changes behavior drastically, when unexplained marks appear, when a family suddenly isolates itself, these can be intervention opportunities that save lives. Sophia Maria Acosta lived only 1,183 days. Coley Cayenne lived 2,037 days. Their lives were brief, but their impact should be lasting. They taught us about the importance of being alert, of acting when we suspect danger, of never ignoring our instincts when it comes to child safety. Rest in peace, little princesses, Sophia and Coley. Your stories will continue to be told so other children can be protected. Your memories will live as reminders that every child deserves love, safety, and the chance to grow up. If you've made it this far, please subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to not miss our next cases. Leave your opinion about these stories in the comments and suggest other cases you'd like to see covered. Your engagement helps us bring these important discussions to more people. Together, we can make a difference in protecting children in our communities.